you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the horror show. I'm Cecil, Laird.
Robert Duell.
And Jaime Fuego here.
And we are here on location at Mad Monster 2020 here in Arizona. The con finally did come here in middle October, even though it was supposed to be here in summertime. Of course, you know the reason, the pandemic. We had to postpone almost everything, including the movie we're working on, but we still have some reviews to bring you guys, and one of the ones we wanted to talk about today is the new Hulu release called Books of Blood. We did a trailer reaction to it, and we were pretty excited about it. It is basically two stories, one story from the book, and then one story that's kind of new that, anyway, without spoiling anything. So, overall thoughts on this, you guys. Robert, why don't you go first?
I loved the hell out of this, honestly. And it's been a while since I actually read the first book of Blood and everything. But no, how they did this, I thought was really cool, especially with the special effects and just even the storytelling and the acting. I loved every aspect about this. Honestly, even more than I probably thought I initially was, because I went in there with a little bit low expectations, so it wouldn't be overly bummed and everything if I was expecting more. But no, I was pleasantly surprised and satisfied with everything from beginning to end.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to echo that. I actually just started listening to the Books of Blood Volume 1 a little bit ago.
That, yep.
I've only gotten through the first two stories. Well, technically the first three, because the Book of Blood is the first story, really. So I am actually quite enjoying it, really quite enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. The third story, The Yattering, started off a little slow, like a whiny demon story, but then
that's the one where the demon is trying to mess with that guy.
Yeah, and the guy just isn't having it, but ultimately it's a turntable situation. So I'm loving it. So I was like, hopefully this is good, because quite frankly, the 2009 Book of Blood,
I really like that one.
I like that. I remember really enjoying that. We've never reviewed it on the channel. Maybe we should at this point. But yeah, overall, I dug this. At first, when I started watching it, when the first story ended, I was like, boo, I didn't like how this ended. And then as I finished the movie finished itself as well, and everything tied in and made a lot more sense by the end. So it much improved my opinion of that first story. And ultimately, I just really dug the hell out of this. Fuego?
I'm going to echo chamber the digging the hell out of this sort of situation, man. This is one that I was a little apprehensive about, because I do really like that 2009 John Harrison version. John Harrison being the director of Tales from the Dark Side, a protege of George Romero. And yet it altered that Book of Blood story, which is our first real story about the kid who's he says that he can commune with spirits, and you're not sure if he can or not. And they also incorporate a little of the Jerusalem Street, where you kind of return and you're trying to find that person. But the new story was really where I was surprised. Clive Barker co-wrote it with some other dude whose name I can't remember, unfortunately. But Britt Robertson was great. Robertson,
I'm a big fan of that actress, though.
Yeah, she was in the much maligned Tomorrowland, which I didn't think was anywhere near as bad as a lot of people say.
Yeah, we both like that.
Yeah, and she was also in Under the Dome. So her performance was really good.
And for those of you that actually like good performances, The Secret Circle is where I learned about her.
Ah, okay. Cool.
A lot of people know about it, but it's a lot of younger people, because it was like a CW witch show.
Oh, okay.
But it was really, really a good one.
Yeah, so she's in one of the two stories, and then yet, as much as I dug that 2009 version of Book of Blood, they altered some stuff enough where it still felt fresh, and yet didn't make me like one or the other. I don't know. It was almost like the turn of the wheel crap that I always talk about with King. It was like a different level and a different sort of interpretation a little bit. And the ending to this is brutal. And when there's some character revelations, I was like, damn, okay. Sheds them in a different light. So there you go.
And again, but the acting to back it up, though.
Yes, exactly. It wouldn't have been as poignant.
When that thing was revealed, and then it cuts to kind of present day, I was like, damn, that's good acting.
It was definitely hard to watch and everything.
Yeah, heavy stuff, man.
But at the same time, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, but that's why I was happy with the ending. I'm like, yeah okay, good.
But
it was very satisfying.
It was and everything, but it's I was talking with Fuego when we were walking in here, it almost felt I don't want to spoil
That's
it.
the
don't
tough
spoil
thing.
it.
Yeah, well,
That's the
then,
tough thing. Yeah.
Don't spoil it.
It just came off too easy.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, that's
Well,
fair. That's fair.
just easy, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So getting into the story a little bit, there's there's two stories. One of them from Book of Blood or Books of Blood. I don't know. What is it in the book?
Well, it's called Book of Blood.
Yeah.
It is
and
called
then,
Book of Blood,
And then
okay.
there's also like the wrap-up story at the end of the 6th Book of Blood is the Jerusalem Street bit, which they incorporate with those like kind of mobster kind of dudes who are trying to track person down.
Okay, that is
Yeah.
from something. Okay.
Yeah, so like Book of Blood is the first story in the series,
Right.
and then at the end of the 6th installment of the series is that Jerusalem Street story. So yeah, it's
So
like the
there's
wrap
that.
up.
So that story is basically about a quote unquote psychic that is communing with the dead, and he's sort of teaming up with this woman who doesn't is becoming a believer with all of the things that he's shown and stuff like that, and then what ends up happening when we realize that he perhaps isn't as genuine as we thought he was, and how that turns into the Book of Blood. And I really enjoyed that story. The other story is the new story that Fuego mentioned that's about Britt, and she basically plays this girl who has I don't know what the actual term is for it, but she has problems with sounds, and specifically chewing sounds, and so she's constantly having to wear noise canceling headphones, and she is kind of, I don't know if she's running away from home or whatever, but
she does.
She-
at
okay.
one
She
point.
does and
Oh, yeah.
everything, 'cause she's like dealing with all this like basically schizophrenic paranoia.
Because
Yeah.
they want to institutionalize her
Right, that's
again
right.
after
Yeah.
she's been taken out. And
so she happens across this house when she's on her way to her destination, but she has to jump off the bus because she's getting overwhelmed with sounds.
and she's paranoid somebody's following her.
Right, and
Yeah.
so she goes to this house and starts to try and recover with this nice old couple, and there's a young man that's there that kind of expresses interest, and then the situation turns again without spoiling anything.
Drastically.
Yeah, the
Yes.
situation turns,
Drastically.
and I story-wise, again, that's a big part of why I like this movie. The way it was laid out, the way it was presented, and the way it all tied together and wrapped up. Like I told these guys at the end of the first story, I was pissed, but I hadn't finished the movie, so I didn't realize it was a certain kind of anthology.
You said that in the group thread
Yeah.
too. You were like, "Oh, the ending of the first story." Bah!
Yeah. So, and I hesitate to say what kind of anthology it is because it is a little spoilery, but let's just say it's more intricately woven than a lot of anthologies that come out.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, which are the kind that I really like. It almost trick or treats it, where the stories do link up.
So he's just
at
going to say it
different-
directly what he's talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's what I was trying to allude to without saying it directly, but okay.
Okay.
So yeah, thoughts on the story, guys?
Honestly, I've basically kind of already hit on the story
Yeah.
on it and everything like that. There's not really any much to add
Well, I
on
mean, just
to
as
it.
far as how you liked it.
Oh, well, no, and well, even still, like, it'd basically just be kind of another reiteration of
Okay,
everything of
fair
basically
enough.
what they've said. It's
Fair
like,
enough.
I really dug the story and how they interwove everything between the certain characters, even between what you see in the beginning, then towards the middle end, how everything ties it back together. They did this really well, and it was fluid.
Yeah.
Truly.
Why
Yeah.
don't you start off with the acting then, Fuego?
Yeah. Acting was very, very solid. I mean, Britt, as we've mentioned, I've been a fan of hers. She was one of the few like solid things about that Under the Dome series. Tomorrowland, as we obviously mentioned too. But she really comes across as like this frail, just fragment of a person, and she sells it so believably. And it's just it's a tortured, tragic performance in a lot of ways. And also the couple that takes her in, just the genuineness of them, and just how
That
caring
was
and
the
compassionate that
scariest
they
part
come
too,
across.
is be like
Yeah.
how sweet and genuine they were. But it's like, oof.
Well, and also I like the dynamic sold very well with the older woman and the younger psychic guy. I mean, it's that as in the previous installment, there's like kind of an attraction sort of thing going on with the work that they're doing. The romance seemed believable, and also that like there is a new beat that they add to the story with the older skeptic woman. With regards to a child that has been lost. That was not in the original story, and just the grieving process that she's going through. And she sells very well the reasoning for her to start believing because of the loss of that child. And so,
It was
That-
more of like an obsession at that
Yeah.
point.
truly.
Like, and it was really well done.
And
that
the-
actress, that older actress played, but I don't know her name off the top of my head. I knew it at one point because I used a portion of her name for a character in one of my movies. 'Cause she was in Warehouse 13 with Eddie McClintock. She was the co-lead in that show, and that show is amazing. If you guys haven't watched it, it's like a up-to-date Indiana Jones, where this group of people are just hunting down artifacts that all have powers and stuff like that. So she was an adventurer, you know, like, and I really appreciated seeing her back and really stretching her acting chops. Like, I dug the acting all around in this, really.
Oh, most definitely. Like, there was not a single weak character at all. Like, even our smaller characters that we get like the glimpses of towards the beginning and end, they were solid for what we had. And again, it's like, the biggest thing is like, if you can get me to really feel bad for these characters, then you've done something good. Even on the shitty characters, like,
and that's what I was
the
gonna
shitty
say.
people, like, you make me feel bad for them. Kudos.
Yeah, the only gripe I had, the mobster kind of guys were a little lame
they're pretty
duck, but
puddle deep, yeah.
but they were supposed to be. I think, you know, it's kind of like a come
They
up.
were your typical type.
They were
Really.
plot movers.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
all they were. Now, effects-wise, we got to talk about effects. It's a gory movie.
Effects were
I mean, the
amazing
effects
in
were
this.
really well done. A lot of practical cool stuff.
Indeed.
And then some CG enhancements, but a lot of the effects come down to set design as well, like great set design that incorporate practical effects, and
Especially with that first reveal in the room where the lights come on.
yeah,
and
but
all
not
of
only
the
that, I'm
writing
talking about the
and stuff
set
on the wall.
design of the house
Well,
and,
I was
and the
thinking
stuff
about
that's
that. The
revealed in
rooms.
certain aspects and parts of the house.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
especially in the original story too, where just the intricacies of the home without really going into too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe some crawl spaces here and there. So yeah, I mean, the effects definitely help bolster the movie's, quality, in my opinion. The only thing I would say is I think it's a weird thing because they present the movie structurally. Like, I like how it ultimately ended up, but I still feel like it's weird structurally when you're framing the stories by showing the flesh and the name of the person the story's about, but then you don't reveal what that is until halfway through the movie. Like, it's kind of, that was a little bit off. I'm like, oh, so
Well,
this
yeah,
is going to become
they
that.
basically start the story, go halfway out, start a new story, come halfway back into the old
Kind
story.
of, yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's a little nitpicky for me to worry about that. So I don't know.
Well, and that's where it makes me wonder if they were just relying on the fact that they assume people are familiar with what the Books of Blood are and that framing device of the carving on the
shouldn't,
flesh.
I mean.
I mean, that's all that I can really justify that with. But yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, a great movie and something we can recommend to people, right?
Most definitely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
not all Hulu is super great. Like, they had that 2-year-long holiday themed anthology
one
movie
thing, though,
thing
I-
running,
Yeah,
and
the
none of them were really
Into the
super
Dark
great.
or
There's
whatever.
one trailer that I just saw last night. It's called Good Boy.
Yeah, that's the one that everyone likes out
That
of the
one
24.
actually looks pretty funny.
Out of the 24, but
Well,
it's,
yeah, 'cause
it's a lot of Judy Greer. Probably too much Judy Greer for me. So
I like to be fair.
anyway,
And-
I hated her in Halloween 18, so I kind of turned on her a little bit. Yeah, they had that gotcha moment at the end, and
Yeah, and
Anyway.
lastly, there's not much to mention music-wise aside from the use of Deep Six by Marilyn Manson, and I love that song. And so
Yeah.
having that be, I mean, Deep Six, 6 feet deep. That's a dope song. Check it out, and it's used well in the movie.
yeah.
And,
So
indubitably.
Yes.
Yes.
all right, guys. So I think that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird,
Robert Duell.
And gracias a Ben Jaime and Fuego.
and remember, stay scared.